Bars is back. Sam Ant. Oh God. What's up with?
Attention all my business owners, if you would like to advertise your business right before each video that we do here on Hip Hop News Uncensored, make sure you email us right now, advertise@hiphopun.com, advertise@hiphopun.com, ask about our holiday specials.
Uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Hip Hop Uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving.
Back in the late 60s, Hollywood was in a quandary. What are we going to do about the movie industry? They were saying, we do this thing. We've been doing it for years. Every Thursday and Sunday, we change movies. We get 2 new movies and several cartoons and maybe a sub feature. And you walk in whenever you want to go into the movie and you pay 50 cents as an adult, nickel for popcorn. And you can watch the part of the movie you walked in on, the cartoons, the next movie, and then sit through the parts you missed or sit through the whole thing to give yourself context. So they were going broke. They had to make several hundred movies a year. Why were they going broke? Color TV. So they started firing a lot of executives, and they got a new breed that was getting in there. And amongst other things, they said, we have a bright idea. What about all of these minorities who would love to see themselves on the screen? Let's appeal to them, but let's not do what we could do where we promote somebody taking care of his business for real. Let's promote dysfunction so we can appeal to the lowest common denominator and get the most money. Started off, I think the first I saw where I knew something was wrong was Black Caesar, starring Fred the Hammer Williams, a football player. He played a drug kingpin and a killer, but he was the hero. And then it went to Superfly, glorified selling cocaine. And then we went into Foxy Brown with Pam Grier with a good looking self, but that more from sister being mad because her brother got killed off by some drug lords to the sister being mad because she wanted to take over as a drug lord from her dead brother. You know, and then we got Pam Grier. She's a beautiful looking woman, but you know, Foxy Brown, she got knocked down 8, 9, 10 times in the movie. And every time she got knocked down, a breast would pop out of the top, not both of them, and a bare behind would flash. And then have the obligatory 4 or 5 chicks naked walking around somebody's place after they just got out the shower, dripping wet. Glorification of dysfunction.
Yes.
So what's happened? Well, after 50 years, you get used to it, where every movie has the same thing. Now they have P Valley, Pussy Valley. What is it? The guy that manages the strip joint down in Mississippi, he likes to go down and give head to some of the male customers, and they glamorize this sordid life. Well, hell, 40 some years ago, I represented a lot of girls that danced down there, came up to Memphis to dance, and it ain't pretty, but they try to glorify it. So what are they doing?
Right. P Valley.
And you see the same thing today. I don't know if you follow like current like hip hop themes and things that go on. It's a couple called Blueface, and how you say her name? Chrisean Rock. Chrisean Rock.
Yeah.
And they show like the dysfunction of them every day, like stabbing each other, and you know, do you see that as well?
Yeah, I see it. And you know what they're glorifying? I call them girl rillas.
Wow.
You know, it used to be, man, what you talking about? Man, hey, man, quiet, man. Somebody's wife just walked in. Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were here. Or somebody's mother just walked in. Oh, man, chill out, man. Nowadays, the worst, most heathen acting person up in there is this girl Rilla that walked up in there cussing and carrying on. You see some of this stuff they do, they half naked fighting in a fast food place. Literally. What is that? See, women used to be the stabilizing influence. They calmed everything down. Now they're not. So what are we getting when we don't get that? We have a social breakdown. You destroy the fabric of society. So, man, we don't need to be pandering to that. Ladies, women, we don't need to be putting up with that. Women, go tell these young sisters to act right. Men, go tell these young brothers to act right. You know, they don't even have fist fights anymore. They want to pop a cap on each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
over what? Because your trifling behind doesn't have anything going and you want to commit suicide by virtue of suicide by neighbor,
Mm.
suicide by cops, bad enough. And speaking of which,
Mm-hmm.
I knew people who were trying to get away from the police because they had just committed some crime, but they had a warrant out for them and they ran. I had criminals I represented. Well, alleged criminals, since everybody I represented was innocent. And they ran. But hell, you ain't done anything. What the hell? I'm scared I ran. Get some balls. Stay there. Make your stand your ground. I grew up in Los Angeles, South Central LA. They didn't even call it that when I was coming along. And the worst you could ever encounter in the whole country, LAPD. You will come here, yeah. You will show your papers, yeah. Man, what you talking about papers, man? Your papers, please. Man, you talking about ID, man? Well, here's my driver's license. Comrade, he does not have his papers. Carl, Garten Hummel, it's not good, yeah? Oh, man, hey, man, this dude, man, I swear, man, it's my driver's license, man. See, it's what you're looking at. And then always gets me the woke crowd. They want to tell you about stuff. You see, you sitting there and you being, oh, young brother, I'm not being that way. I'm just trying to tell you that if you want to be the way you are saying you want to be, this isn't how to do it. Like, for example, did you ever hear this one Gil Scott Heron used to do with jazz messengers? He'd say, the revolution will not be televised.
Absolutely.
So you're trying to do something and you're upset because somebody reacted to you because you had to put it all out there that this is what you were going to do. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
We got to unify. How dare you sit there and speak against unity? Young brother, we said the same thing too, but a whole lot of us didn't make it because they got killed because some of these people that you might unify with, they have those badges and those IDs and, those 3-letter agency abbreviations that they work for. And they are snitches, informants, agents, sworn officers, and you have to be careful. So don't just say unity, say effective unity and understand what that means. Say it, doesn't hurt to spread the idea, but don't get so caught up in it you can't see that somebody is an agent and they don't mean you well.
Speaking on agents and just strictly on the term of not meaning you well, I don't know if you've seen a recent passage, and shout out to Maurice who brought it to my attention. A D.L. Hughley, and during this passage, he referenced mermaids. He remembers a time when people were in an uproar about the Little Mermaid being black. And he referenced, well, if they threw that many black people off the boat, there has to be some black people in that water somewhere, right? A lot of people chuckled, a lot of people laughed, and it was funny. But a lot of people took offense to that too, and kind of referenced things in the past that he said and he's done to make it look like as if he maybe kind of in indirect ways throw shots at us as a community, even though he may be coming from a white perspective, from the black perspective. What do you think about the comment? Is it just a joke in your opinion, or do you think there's something deeper to that?
I don't know. You have to look at the context. I don't know him personally.
Yeah.
Well, I've met him, but I don't know him personally. And I don't know him well enough to be able to say. I have to hear the context. Now, there's another thing I would point out. You always ought to be able to deal with humor.
Right.
Sometimes the best way to understand human nature is to listen to a good stand-up comic or somebody who's being comedic about something, because the process of being comedic can often reveal a lot about the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Is Hughley being on the other side, or is he being comedic? Well, I remember before Richard Pryor got started.
Yeah.
I was in LA when he did a number at the first Watts Festival in 1966. What was he doing? You know, he could make you feel, I know the guy he's talking about. I met 2 or 3 of them, you know, just like that. And in the process of being humorous, you learned a lot from him. Well, in his process of being humorous, you learned a lot. Were you learning that from DL? I don't know. What's the context? I mean, it could be sarcasm.
Mm.
It might not be. A whole lot of us jumped off the damn boat.
Yeah.
Alive rather than being taken across the water as a slave.
Right.
That, speaking, was one of the few good things said by, what is it?
Killmonger.
Yeah, Killmonger said it. Bury me in the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
where my ancestors who didn't want to be slaves killed themselves or jumped off into the water.
Right.